everyone, welcome to my channel. Welcome back to my channel. I am Dana Cole, and for those of you who do not know me and are new to my channel, welcome. I am a fashion, beauty, and editorial photographer based in Oslo, Norway. I am originally from Dallas, Texas, and I have lived here about 10 years. Okay, so that is the introduction into me. So in this particular video, you guys, I will be talking about how it is to be an American in Norway, and even more specifically, how it is to be a Black American in Norway, and what are some of the differences, and so forth. So that is what we're going to cover in this video today. Okay, so if you're friends with me on Facebook or Instagram, you already knew I was going to do a video like this because I asked you guys specific questions that you wanted me to answer about this particular topic, because once in a while I always get questions here and there about certain things about Norway, career, how it is to live here, and etc. And I thought it would be cool to just put all of this in one video and one place you can come find all of the questions that I have been asked and any questions you might be curious about and that you want to know. Okay, so the first question was, how did I wind up in Norway? And that is due to love. I met a boy and we happened to meet in America, and then I moved here about a year later to Norway, and that was in 2008 we met, and 2009 I moved here to Norway and we got married. So he is now my husband. So I have been here since 2009, August 2009. So it has been this month, or yeah, August was 10 years. So 10 years I have been here in Norway. So that's quite a long time, and I feel like I have a good understanding and adaptation of how it is to live here versus in America and so forth. So okay, this was a question that a lot of people had. How are the people here, and how easy is it to make friends? And I think this is my answer is going to vary based on where you are in America or where you are in other parts of the world. Me being from the southern states in America, where everyone's friendly, everyone says hi, everyone says how you're doing, and you know, you can meet someone same day, and you know, that weekend they're inviting you to a party, or they're inviting you to their house to hang out. So this is coming from a southern gal on this particular topic. So and now living here, I know this is just culture thing, but when I first moved here, and I thought Norwegians were very rude, very cold people, very hard to be friends with, and so forth. And some of that is still true to this day, but it was much worse when I first moved here because I didn't know anyone, I didn't have any friends, etc., etc. So it was very, very difficult for me in the beginning. But I do find that Norwegians lack like personal space. Like when I'm out, or when you're out, there is no like personal space boundary. So if you're standing in line, someone will come just right up behind you and just hit you and touch you, not touch you, but you know, like it's like they're breathing down your neck because they're so close to you. There's not that, you know, that 2 feet of personal space that a lot of us Americans are used to. They will hit you with their cart. If someone runs into you or bumps into you, they won't say sorry. They won't even acknowledge that they bumped or ran into you. So things like that I find annoying, and I do find that they're different from America. I can say, however, it has gotten better. Within the 10 years I have been here, more people say hi, and they'll smile when they say hi to you. If someone bumps into you, they might say sorry now, or they'll say unnskyld, which is excuse me, or I'm sorry for in Norwegian. So it is getting a little bit better from where it was 10 years ago, but it's still not all that great. It still happens, and as an American, I notice these things. And I don't think Norwegians themselves know that they do this or how it is, because that's how they all do it. Not everyone, but it is very commonplace here to not have that courtesy and personal space, etc. Just everyone in everyone's space. Yeah, so it takes some getting used to. I'm more used to it now. Like, I expect it now, but I still do things the American way. If I see someone and we make eye contact, I'm gonna smile, I'm gonna say hello. If I run and bump into someone, I'm gonna say I'm sorry, excuse me, etc., because that's how I was raised to do that. Okay, meeting people, that is very difficult to do. Most of my friends here, even after the 10 years of being here, are people in the photo community. Makeup artists, photographers, hairstylists that are around my age. I don't too much friend models, because a lot of the models I work with are very young. They're like 16 to 20, and I'm in my 30s. Yeah, so I typically don't have a lot in common with the models, but the hairstylists and the other photographers, we are around the same age. Some are younger, some are older, but I have that commonality with them and that common love for photography and making beautiful work, beautiful images. So I mesh more well with them. If I was not a photographer, I think I would find it very hard to find another group that I fit in. And I'm not the only American who has said this. There are a few Americans in Norway, and we have groups and we talk in the groups about pros and cons of living here, etc. So and a lot of us struggle with finding friends. Not me so much anymore, but a lot of them who have not found that group of people that they feel like they can hang with outside of their spouse or outside of schooling, whatever, can find it very difficult to make friends here. A lot of Norwegians just pretty much have the same friends they've had forever, and it's very hard to weasel your way into that little hole they set for themselves and their friends. Like, I did not get my first invite here to someone's house, to like a friend's house, to just hang out or whatever, until I was about 7 years into living here. Versus, you know, back in Texas, I would have, you know, met a friend, and, you know, I don't know, maybe the next week or 2 weeks, I would be hanging out at their house. I would have gotten an invite to hang out at their house. So those type of things are different, and I noticed that. So yeah, that is how it is to meet people here. Unless you can find that group of people that share an interest of yours, it is going to be really hard to make friends here as well, like with the personal space and the rudeness and coldness and so forth of the people. That being said, though, you know, my friends now that I have, they're great. They're cool people. You know, I don't have anything against the Norwegians. I think it's just more so cultural differences. But other than that, I mean, it is what it is. So nothing negative against the Norwegian people. I think that's just more so how they were raised versus how I was raised in the South. Okay? So next question is, how easy or hard has it been to learn the Norwegian language? And woo, okay. So my daughter, she was 9 when we moved here, so she's 18 now. She has picked it up much better than me. Learning languages has not been something I've always been the best at, and Norwegian is, I find it very difficult to learn fully. I can understand it when I read it, and if Norwegians speak a bit slowly, I can understand it when they speak to me. But as far as speaking it myself, I typically do not. So my conversations with Norwegians is they speak Norwegian to me and I speak English to them, because Norwegians learn English and in the first grade. So most Scandinavians know English very well. They might not speak it, but they understand it. And the TV shows and movies are not like dubbed here, like they're in Norwegian and they're dubbed. They are usually in English. So they're accustomed to knowing and the English language. So I think in a way that has crippled me a bit to actually wanting to fully learn the Norwegian language as I should. But what I do know, I learned through watching TV shows with subtitles, with Norwegian subtitles, or sometimes I will listen to it in Norwegian. My husband speaks it at times to me. He's of course fluent in Norwegian, but for the most part we speak English at home, and just people who come into the studio, sometimes they'll speak English, they'll speak Norwegian to each other, and then of course I'll pick it up from there. But for the most part, yeah, I still speak English here for the most part. When you move here, you do have to take Norwegian classes. They call it Norskkurs. And when I was here, you had to take 300 hours, which was like a 9-month school term of Norwegian classes and culture classes. So you learn about like the political parties, you learn the backstory of Norway, etc. So but I feel like I didn't learn anything in my Norwegian class. The teacher was horrible, and almost no one in the class liked her. It was just very difficult to learn anything. I learned just the basics there. I learned how to count the numbers and how to say my address and so forth. So I didn't really pick up much in the Norwegian class. So what I know now is, like I said, what I learned from TV, friends, husband, etc. So for me, it has been very difficult, but for other people, it's very easy to pick it up. Yeah. Okay. So next question is, how easy was it to adjust to the move? And in the beginning, it wasn't very easy to adjust. All of my family, of course, was back in Texas, and then I had this new life here, and my job, my career. I was also a photographer full-time back in Texas, so I had to leave my family. I was leaving my family, I was leaving my career, I was leaving my studio, my friends, etc. there, and then pretty much uprooting my entire life here in another country, on another continent, with a whole new language. So it was very difficult to adjust at first. For like the first year and a half, I was kind of depressed because I was, missing family. I didn't know anyone here yet as far as the photo community. I just knew my husband and my kiddo who of course came with me, and his family were very accommodating. They're sweet people. So yeah, it was very difficult to adjust in the beginning. But of course now I'm all adjusted. I've adapted to living here. But yeah, it took a little while in the beginning to adjust. I have to say maybe a year and a half to 2 years for me to start adjusting and start getting used to life here. But like I said, now I'm all adjusted, I'm adapted, all of that is fine now. Okay, so the next question, and this is a excuse me, this is a two-part question. Okay, how is the food, and where do I get my seasonings for seasoning my food? So the food here it's okay. I mean, nothing to write home about to me, honestly. I cook a lot more here at home than I ever did back in Texas. And I don't know, it just, one, due to Norway is a pretty expensive city, Oslo, but Norway is a pretty expensive country. But, if you live and work here, you make enough to handle that, which is fine. But there's not a lot of food options. I personally like soul food, I like barbecue, I like Mexican food, Tex-Mex, etc. And there's not a lot of really good options for that type of stuff here. There's almost none for most of those options. So if I want something like that, I cook it myself. So basically, yeah, I cook at home a lot. And we go out to eat occasionally. When we do go out to eat, it's like at a steak place or burger place or something like that. So yeah, as far as seasonings go, how I season my food, typically I like lemon pepper, and I like garlic powder, garlic salt type of stuff. So that type of stuff I can get here. However, I also like Old Bay, Lawry's, and some few just other seasonings that they do not have here. So every 2 to 4 months we get a care package from my mom. Love you, Mom. So she sends us some stuff that we can only get in America, like my seasonings and cereals, because y'all, the cereal aisle here, it's not even an aisle, it's like this little bitty section, and it's only like, I don't know, maybe 10 or 11 different cereals, and they're pretty much all similar. They're not really that different. And it's just so sad versus, you know, back in America, we have these big, huge stores, and we have a whole aisle, like a long ass aisle just for cereal. And that's very lacking. I'm gonna post a picture of the little cereal section here so you can just see how bad it is, and then you can cry for me inside, and you can send me all the cereal that you want to send me. But yeah, so she sends a cereal and that we like, and a few other little American goodies once in a while. How is the weather here, and how is it different from Texas? So to me, Texas weather and Norway weather are on the two opposite sides of the world from each other, you know. Texas, it is very hot most of the year, like really, really hot most of the year, and even in the winter time it can be warm, and it snows just a little bit in Texas, and if it does snow, it's only one day to 7 days out of the entire year. It does get icy on the roads, and of course they will then shut the whole city down because, you know, Texas is not prepared for icy weather and icy conditions and so forth. The cars are not right. Some kids could be lacking the proper weather attire. So I understand them just closing down the entire city until the ice goes away. However, here in Norway, they're used to that because it's snow about 5 months out of the year. So the snow starts falling around November, and it does not start dissipating until mid-April. So there is many months of snow. It gets really dark. It does not stay light very long, so it'll start getting dark it'll start getting light around 9 a.m. and then it'll start getting dark again around 3 p.m. During the winter. However, summers are light pretty much all the time, so it'll be pretty much light as how it would be around 5 p.m. in America here at midnight. And it gets a little bit dark blue, and then the sun starts coming up again. So you have these beautiful long summer days, and typically the weather is kind of nice. It's between like 75 degrees and low 90s, but usually 75 to mid 80s is a typical summer here. It has been a bit warmer the last 2 summers, which is nice. So yeah, total opposites of Texas, and I like the summers here. I really like the summers here. I'm not too big on snow, which is funny because I live in Norway, and you know, there's a bunch of snow, but I've adapted to it. I've gotten used to it. I actually had to buy a coat, and I hate wearing big bulky coats, but you know, I had to buy one because that's just what you do when you live around a bunch of snow. So those are the differences to me with the weather. Okay, so another question was asking about healthcare and like schooling and so forth. So healthcare here is free, or I don't want to say free because you do have to pay like a little copay when you go see your doctor. You choose your doctor, and then you know, you can go see your doctor for whatever the case may be, and you pay like depending on what you're going to go see him for, you pay like $20 to $30 for your doctor visit. And then if you need further testing, then that's still like another $20-$30 on another day. If you need surgery, etc., that is covered, like that's universal health care. So you will get that. If you like see the doctor like more than, I think it's like $150 within the whole year, then you get it free for the rest of the year. So the healthcare here is really good. It is much better than it is in America, where people are struggling to have to pay for stuff, pay for medical costs, etc. So Norway is winning when it comes to that. And I think that is really cool. Schooling here, school is free. Like college, university is free for children. I mean, free for anyone who wants to go to college, university. Even if you do not live here, like there have been some Americans who come here to go to school for like a year or two because it's free, and I believe it's also free for them. Of course, they have to pay for their own accommodations, where they're going to sleep and where they're going to stay, and their food, etc. So they can maybe try to get a little job here if they can, or they have to save up before they come. But the schooling itself is free, and I think that's really cool if you want to like study abroad and you want to come to Europe and study. But I think that is also the case with other college and universities in other parts of Europe as well, to where you can come and study abroad for free. Okay, if you have children here, it's really cool because mothers get like almost a year paid maternity leave, which is really cool. I had my daughter before I moved here, so I have not really taken advantage of the maternity leave and stuff because I haven't had any more children. But some of my friends here have had kids or are currently pregnant, so it is very cool that they do that. They also have paternity leave, which gives the father like 3 months off to bond and spend time with his child, his new child, and to help the mom around the house, or whatever the case may be. He gets 3 months paid paternity leave, and like I said, the mother gets like a year or up to like 10 months free paid maternity leave, which is awesome. I think that's really cool. Okay, so this next little section we're going to talk about racism and racism in Norway versus America and so forth, because I got a lot of questions about this and a lot of people have been curious about this, which is understandable, especially how racism is in America right now and it's so outwardly in everyone's face and so forth. Okay, first question is, how am I treated here? For the most part, as a Black American living in Norway, I am treated fine. Norwegians don't seem to have a problem with me in that instance. Of course, there is racist people everywhere, so those type of people are always going to be those type of people. I have not had anyone blatantly come to my face and say anything outwardly racist or anything like that. So in that regard, it's fine for me. I haven't had those particular racist experiences here yet. I'm not to my face. Of course, I see stuff written online, but again, it doesn't seem to be about Black Americans. It seems to be more about Black Africans and asylum seekers, who some happen to be African and some happen to be Middle Eastern, Muslim religion, and so forth. But as a Black American, I am treated here fine. Next question is, am I facing more racism having a white husband here in Norway? Okay. So yeah, my husband is white, of course, he's Norwegian, and the racism that comes with that is not from Norwegians. It is more so, surprisingly, from Black men, and it's not local Black men, it's online. But the flack I usually get is from Black men who, once they found out I have a white husband, then they want to say I'm against Black men and so forth. And I look here, I'm not against anybody. I've dated Black men, I've dated white men, I've dated Asian men, I've dated Hispanic men, and I just happen to end up with a white Norwegian man. So I have nothing against Black men. I love Black men. My brothers are Black men. My nephews are Black men. My father was a Black man. So, when they come to me with that, I'm just like, boy, bye. So yeah. So in that instance, the racism or I don't know what to call it, the flack I get from that is mostly from Black men, not Norwegian people. So I hope that answered that. So I want to touch on something I mentioned earlier about Black Americans and Black Africans and the difference here. But so if I'm somewhere out, I'm assuming Norwegians, when they look at me, they're probably going to think I'm Black African, because there are not a lot of Black Americans here. I only know like maybe, I don't know, three or four other Black Americans in Norway. And you know, I'm friends with some of them on Facebook. Well, I'm friends with all of them on Facebook, the ones that I know. I think there are maybe a few other ones that I've seen in groups, but anyways, there are not a lot of us. So I'm assuming generally if a Norwegian does not know you, they're going to think you're Black African. And there's a stigma with Black Africans here, because a lot of them are asylum seekers unless they were born here. But a lot of them are refugees here, so they're fleeing their African country, whichever country they are fleeing from in Africa, and they're coming here and they get assistance. They get, you know, like welfare, and, you know, they get stuff for being here and so forth. And sometimes some of them are coming here and they're committing crimes, and etc., etc., etc. So a lot of Norwegians have an issue with asylum seekers here due to those specific things: crime, getting welfare, getting benefits that they feel Norwegians should get, etc. Okay, and now keeping that in mind, so when they see me, I'm assuming, well, I do know in some cases, they automatically assume I am one of those people until they hear me speak. And when they hear me speak, it's like a light bulb goes off in their head. It's very funny to watch, and you really have to see it for yourself to understand what I'm talking about here. So when they hear me speak and they're like, I can see it in their eyes. It's like, you know, it's like, oh, she's American. She's American, so she's cool, you know. And then all of a sudden they go from halfway noticing I'm there or halfway ignoring me to, oh wow, where are you from? Oh, how's America? Oh, I've never been there. Or, oh, I've been to such and such and such a place in America, and America is so cool. So, you know, you're American, so you're cool. So it's like I mean, all I can do is laugh about it because it's just so interesting every time it happens. However, I do have Black African friends here too. Not a lot, and I don't know if I would actually call them friends. They are acquaintances, but we talk sometimes. And they tell me how they're treated here versus how I'm treated here as a Black American, because, you know, I have my accent I can turn on and off, you know, because I am a Black American. And like I said, I don't think Norwegians have a problem with Black people per se, at least Black Americans, but they do seem to have an issue with Black Africans and what category they put them in. So, you know, until they hear me speak, I'm assuming they think I'm Black African and I'm an issue. But when they hear me speak, they're like, oh, she's cool. You know, it's yeah, I can't really explain it. You just have to like witness it yourself. And hopefully I explained it a little bit. So for me, and you know, for me it's this sigh of relief because, oh, well, I'm Black American, so I'm cool. But then, you know, my friends who are Black African, but then it also makes me feel bad for, you know, well, I'm glad I'm not Black African because of the way how they treat them here, you know. So it puts me in this weird little, you know, I don't know, it's a weird little place to be. So being Black American is cool, being Black African is not, and I don't think that's cool. I think that's racist. Honestly, that's my take on that. So, you know, if any Norwegians are watching this, you know, that is not cool. You know, you shouldn't assume all Black people here are African, and that they're asylum seekers. For the most part, that they're asylum seekers, not that they're African, because being African and being directly from African versus African American, it doesn't really matter. It shouldn't matter. But thinking people here are asylum seekers and treating them a certain way just because of your thoughts of what you think is wrong, and that's racist, just so you know. So I notice sometimes I make it a conscious effort if I'm somewhere and I feel like people are ignoring me, or, you know, they're looking at me like, oh, she's like one of those people. I'll like literally talk in English, you know, and so they can hear my American accent or Southern American accent. I'll pick up my phone and just start talking. So, you know, and just to see their reactions. Sometimes I just do it just to see their reactions of how they're going to react to listening to that. So I don't know, it's become a little bit of a game, but it is a bit sad, like I said, because people shouldn't assume people are a certain way, and not to mention they shouldn't be treating them that way anyways. Okay, so overall racism here in Norway is not like it is in America. It is not that bad. It is a very tone deaf, I would say, and a lot of Norwegians seem to think that be surprised when they hear that there is racism here. It's like I said, it's not as bad and outwardly as it is in America, but it is here. And like doing just tone deaf stuff that if you were white or a non-person of color in America, you know would be wrong to do, versus here they're not really accustomed to hanging around a bunch of people of color, black people, Hispanic people, Asian, etc. So, you know, they walk around in Indian, Native American headdresses, and they sometimes do blackface for Halloween and so forth. And they, you know, they do weird Asian stuff, and you know, and they think that's all cool and costumey here, but it's not. These are people's cultures and so forth. And so it's very tone deaf in some things they do here, and they think it's okay to do because they don't know any better, or they just don't care. So now we're going to talk a little bit about the photo community here and some of the questions I got based on that. Okay, so first question is, how is the photo industry here? I think the photo industry here is pretty good. There are a lot of photographers here. I know quite a few of them, and of course there's ones I do not know, but I do know some of the key player photographers here. They're pretty cool and so forth. I also host workshops here, as some of you might know, so I do meet a lot of the other photographers that way. Norway itself, photo community is more landscape, more commercial work, more, yeah, like that. It's not so much fashion, beauty, editorial going on here. There is some, but if you like wanted to make that your sole focus and career, and you couldn't necessarily travel, or you had to be in one place for the most part, Norway would probably not be the place for that. I would probably say go down to London or Paris or Italy for more of that type of work, but there is some of that work here, so it's not like there isn't any work for those genres here. There is. So the photo industry here, yeah, it's pretty good. Question, is my career better here than it was in Texas? That's a bit hard to say, because I feel like I'm more focused now and I'm doing the genres that I wanted to do, versus in Texas I was kind of I was still a bit new, but I was kind of all over, not new, but I was all over the place there with doing a little bit of everything. I was not focused. I was not sure where I wanted to focus my attention on. So for the most part, I did portrait work there, all types of portrait work, and some fashion, beauty. So the last and final question was, do I miss America? And the answer to that is yes and no. I mean, I miss my family because my family is there. I miss some of the food options. I miss the different terrains, different weather. You know, yeah, there are things I miss about Texas and America in general. But there are things I don't miss. I don't miss the heat. I don't miss all the politics that's going on now, all the hate that's going on there now, healthcare, schooling loans, all that crap I don't miss. Of course, I'm past schooling and so forth, but still, it is a more relaxed way of living here. Like I said, it's a bit, yeah, it's a relaxed way of living. It's an easier way of living, minus the weather. But overall, things I miss about America: my family, my friends, food is a big one, and things I don't miss, pretty much everything else. But America has a lot of beauty points about it, as well as beautiful scenery and landscape, and as well as Norway. So yes, I miss certain things about America and certain things I do not miss. And like here in Norway, certain things I love about Norway, more pros that I like about Norway versus cons, but there are cons. I do not like that everything here is closed on Sundays. You know, I don't drink alcohol or whatever, but you know, I hate that you can only get it certain times, even if you do drink it. A lot of things close here very early. There's not a lot of selections to choose from for food, clothing, etc. Okay, last and final question. I hopped back on here really fast because this is a question I got last minute and I wanted to answer this. So this question was, do you feel like you fit in and belong here in Norway now? Do I feel like I belong here? I mean, I've been here 10 years, so I do have a foothold here now. So, you know, my husband's here, my career is here. I have restarted my career. It took a while, of course, but it has been restarted. So I have that going. I have a studio here. I'm getting jobs, etc. So yes, I feel like I belong here. As far as all of that goes, my daughter's here and she's situated as well. And the second part of that question was, do I feel like I fit in? And the answer to that is no. I do not feel like I fit in here within Norway. I don't think I will ever feel like I fit in to here, just because of how I grew up and so forth for the first 27 years of my life. The culture in Texas and American in general is just very different than here. And like I said, I've adapted a little bit, but I have not accepted certain things of, like I said, how the people can be and versus how I am. Like, I can't conform to how they are because I am the way I am. And sometimes there's some pushback there with certain things and so forth. So yeah, so no, I don't feel like I fit in. I don't think I will ever feel like I completely fit in to Norway, to the Norwegian way and the Norwegian lifestyle and how it is here and how the people are. And that's not a bad thing. I mean, it just means I stand out. But and that's okay. At one point that bothered me a bit about how I do not fit in and how I feel like I don't fit in with many people here, but now I'm okay with that. You know, I have my friends, I get jobs here and so forth, and as long as that happens, you know, I'm fine with that. So I hope that answered that last question. Okay guys, so I hope I answered many of your questions. If I left any out, just post them below of ones I might have left out that you want an answer on, and I will answer them below for you. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it a little educational. I know it's different from my usual photo videos, but this is something I just wanted to talk about, the differences and so forth. And I hope you enjoyed it. You guys have a lovely day. If you like my channel and my videos, be sure to hit that subscribe button and the little bell so you can get notifications when I do new videos. And yeah, I'm gonna end this now and see you guys next time. Bye.